Hello, this is Francesca Recchia, and I would like to welcome you to our fifth monthly get together to reflect on the lasting consequences and the human costs of 20 years of war on terror. 20 years after 9/11, many questions still remain unanswered. The rhetoric of exporting an American version of democracy has left us with the erosion of global citizenship, while the arbitrary deprivation of freedoms and rights has become the new normal. The Polis Project and Cage got together for a long-term, slow-paced joint reflection to look at the present through the events of the last 20 years. And we do that in dialogue with the communities who are most affected by the Islamophobia and racialization of terror that followed 9/11. Cage is an independent grassroots organization that advocates for due process, the rule of law, and the end of the injustices of the war on terror. Working closely with survivors, they campaign against discriminatory state policies and advocate for due process and the rule of law. The Polis Project is a hybrid research and journalism organization producing knowledge about the most important issues that affect us. And we do that by amplifying diverse perspectives from those who are indigenous to conflicts and crises that affect us today. Joining us today to reflect on the human and personal costs of the war on terror, we have Mansoor Adayfi. Mansur is a writer, an artist, and a former Guantanamo detainee who has been held for over 14 years without any charge. He has written several pieces that were published in the New York Times, as well as a series of graphic stories published in the Nib. Mansur also participated in the creation of the award-winning radio documentary, The Art of Now for BBC, that would focus on the art of Guantanamo. He is the author of a forthcoming book, Don't Forget Us Here, that will be released on the 17th of August, shortly next month. It's a fantastic book that I genuinely recommend you to pre-order. Mansoor, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, and I would like to welcome you all, welcome you, and welcome all the guests today.
Mansoor, let's start to set the context, and I would like to ask you if you could let us know how you ended up in Guantanamo and how you lived for many years with improbable identities that were imposed on you by your interrogators.
Okay. Before we jump to Guantanamo first, or the story of Guantanamo, I would like to comment on what's called war in terror, which we as Muslim view it is war in Muslims, and to be honest, because the only effect from it Muslims. And out of this kind of war came the Islamophobia, which now spread, especially in the European countries and the United States, and extend to some Arab countries who use this kind of war and terror phrase to oppress, to push their agenda and to practice some kind of inhuman treatment and to practice some tyranny on the people, as we see now in some Arab countries. My story is one of the maybe thousands or 10,000s of the stories of the victims of what's called global war and terror. So, as we know, after the 9/11, at what happened, and the American United States government launched one of the biggest military campaign in history, which lasts the longest war in Afghanistan, was like 20 years now. They launched to Afghanistan. They want to bring what's called the worst of the worst. I was in Guantanamo for research as assistant researcher at Afghanistan. I was on a mission for research, and I was kidnapped by a warlord only 1 month before American came to Afghanistan. During that time, there was some kind of negotiation for ransom to be released back to my Yemen and my friend to Saudi Arabia. When American came, we were sold by warlord as to them they paid some kind of 50,000 for those warlords who pay handsome by the U.S. government. From there, I was taken to the CIA black site, where I was interrogated and tortured for around 2 months or 3 months. It was one of the worst periods in my life. I was accused to be an Egyptian general who, Al Qaeda general. I was almost like 18 years old. From that, after 2 or 3 months, when they found I'm not there, the one who was they were looking for, I was sent to under detention, and from there again interrogation, and from there to Guantanamo. There was no basis. I didn't know what they were looking for. I couldn't even for the last 15 years I spent at Guantanamo. I couldn't understand what they were looking for. So this is my journey, which is, as you see, according to the ACLU, they said 86% of the men who were taken to Guantanamo either mistaken identity or were sold for bounty money to the US. And many countries sold those men in Afghanistan, Iran, and other countries. And it became, when I arrived at Guantanamo, the men who was there, I can tell you 90% they have no connection to Taliban or Al-Qaeda or fighting, or they didn't have any kind of connection. So the first month or 2 months when we were interrogated, one of the generals who was there, he announced, he said 90% of the men shouldn't be here. After 2 months, he was relieved from duty, and they bring another general who restarted the interrogation again. Guantanamo was a big mess from the beginning because it's outside the law, and there was no boundaries to or laws or rules to define what should be done to the people of the place itself. So I don't want to continue. So you can see, or you can the second question.
Just to clarify for those who don't know the full story, so you were sold in Afghanistan when you were 18, but your identity was that, or I mean, your supposed identity was that of a middle-aged Egyptian general, right?
Yes, as I told you, it was really a big mess at that time. And when the first time American came, I was optimistic. Americans are smart; they know who I am. But in the end, yeah, it appears to get a big mess. They have no idea what to look for, what kind of what they didn't know what to do, what to expect, because we will talk later how they turned Guantanamo into experimenting lab. So when I was taken, they have some kind, I don't know, mixed files or mistaken identity, and I was surprised when they were talking to me an Egyptian, and I was in London. They told me I was in Nairobi and other places, and and I have to convince all of that under the torture. So it was kind of a joke. When I was at Guantanamo, I used to tell me, "Where are you from?" I said, "From Egypt." No, just tell us from him. I said, "No, I am from Egypt now, because I need." So as I told you, it really was a big mess, and we will go in the further. We will give some details about how messy was Guantanamo.
Yes. So one of the things that, I mean, it's amazing that you can laugh at these things, and I really appreciate that you're talking about all this smiling, because it's just so incredibly painful. So thank you for that. So I suppose one of the shocking things that emerges from your story, and that is, as you just said, sadly not unique to you, is that Bachawat grounded the kidnapping, the sale, and the illegal detention of hundreds of Muslim men was a set of lies that kept being fabricated in order to reinforce what the Americans wanted to know and wanted to believe. So, can you help us understand how this machine of lies and did work out in Guantanamo?
From the beginning, when the U.S. government invaded to launch some kind of war targeting every Muslim, where was a target, because when they passed that law, anyone can detain or question and detain indefinitely, as what happened with me in other cases, as long as you are a Muslim. And when we, from the first day with Americans, I mean, what they want from us. So the question they were asking some questions we couldn't even comprehend. We were asked about, interrogate about nuclear bombs, about where Osama bin Laden, about with the where was the the next target, and so on. And they will they try to frame us in a way that we are the one they were to bring us to the world. At Guantanamo, let me give you just a little background about Guantanamo. As you know, there is around 800 men were detained at Guantanamo. The youngest detainee was only a couple months old. He was brought with his father. The son was accused to be related to Osama bin Laden. The oldest detainee was 105 years old. There was over like around 50 nationalities, 20 languages spoken, all kind of people. You have students, teachers, doctors, nurses, mafia bosses. You have drug dealers. You have charity workers. You have children. This kind of people who arrive at Guantanamo. So imagine when interrogators came, they didn't know what to look for or to expect, and they know what they have no idea about the people who were at Guantanamo. So when interrogators arrived at Guantanamo, they didn't know where to start, how to sort those files. They didn't know what to look what they were looking for. At the beginning, they were told they were looking for information that will maybe save American people. So it was really intensive interrogation. And so when they were interrogating those people, they found out the, the majority or 90% of the people shouldn't be there. But again, they accused the people they are lying. So 2003, a new general arrived by the end of 2002. General Miller arrived. So he was the one who constructed the enhanced interrogation technique with the torture program that was established, started at Guantanamo, and started torturing the people there. So you can read, there is a special article about that, which is called Guantanamo, America's Battle Lab. So this is how they turned Guantanamo into experimenting lab from the military view. You know, the American generals and the state of defense found out that they are going to war with Muslims, and they didn't have enough information about the enemy they will face. So why not to turn Guantanamo into a human lab to experiment on those people? It was how to interrogate them and how to study them, what make them angry, happy, how to negotiate, how they talk. So the information can help the troops on the ground. Psychologists were involved from the beginning on the interrogation of the interrogation and the treatment at Guantanamo. So the first SOP was written by the end 2002 and by the 2003 by General Miller, which also serve in breaking the detainees and make them cooperate with the interrogation. So this is the little background of Guantanamo. There was around 20 to 25 children, as I told you, aged between 2 months or 3 months until 16 years old. Let's go back to you.
No, please go ahead.
So Guantanamo was carefully chosen as place. It's a black hole or black site within the military base, naval base at Guantanamo, which not the international law or Geneva Convention doesn't apply. The United States law doesn't apply. The Cuban law doesn't apply. So when we end up there, we have no rights whatsoever. And also at the same time, so what they think careful about, because from the legal perspective, there was no accountability, there was no responsibility for whatsoever. No matter what they do us, no matter what happened there, nobody will can be held accountable for what happened there. Men lost their life, 9 men lost their life. Also, the number is 10, not men, because in 2003 the first death case was in 2003, but when General Miller, as we know, who is General Miller? You know, he's the one who was tortured detainees in Iraq. Before Iraq, he was at Guantanamo. So, but again, There was no document for this specific death case at Guantanamo in 2003, but we saw it all. They transferred the body back to Afghanistan. Uh, since then, the interrogation program continued, the torture program continued until 2008, and still detainees being there until that day, being interrogated, being supervised by the psychologists and so on. So when I talked to last month with the lawyers who was at Guantanamo, they said the situation when Biden came now, it is worse than ever at Guantanamo. So there is no any kind of SOP or defined rules how the detainees should be treated there. A new commander when they came, a new commander when they take over the camp, they can change the rules. They can have their own way to run the camp, the mission of running the camp. Because when they were deployed to Guantanamo, they were told you are in the war zone is here. So, and the front line was the detainees. So from that, any commander arrived there, especially when commanders who were in Afghanistan or Iraq, they are full of hate and grudge because the situation there, some of them got, what happened there. And they took revenge of the detainees at Guantanamo. Interrogation never stopped until now. And indefinite detention, I think it is the first time in United States history that people detained for the indefinite for almost like 10 or 15 or 20 years without being charged or trial or accusation. It just, I remember when in 2015, when it was in my PRP, all my accusation now was in my behavior in the camp. Of course, you put me in hell and you expect me to behave. I was always arguing with the psychologist. I said, it is normal to behave abnormal in this place. If you behave normal, you are not normal. And they said, yeah, you're kind of like emotionally smart to talk. I said, no, it's not about talking. This is the fact. They brought us to a place where they tried to take everything from us. And what make us a person or every individual of us, what make us who we are, the memories we have, the values, the faith, the tradition, the customs, the language, that what makes a person who, as a human. If you take that from a person, if you take his memories, if you try to take his values, his faith, his tradition, he's become like a shell. So at Guantanamo, when they started like secretion about our religion, we cannot talk. Now everything is new, and they want us to behave in a certain way. It goes against our religion, against faith, tradition. I came from a tribal, a conservative society, and a tribal society. We live in the mountain as a tribe groups. So they want to change that. They want to tame us. To tame us to what extent? What taming in their perspective? And every day they have they even talk. And the rules were designed to control everything in our life. Everything. Talking, sleeping, food, medicine, smell, the air, the light, the communication, everything. Because what they was told me, they said I have high training to encounter interrogation technique. I have no idea what interrogation technique is. And I have no, it's like a boy, I was resisting because when you look at our background as Yemeni, a tribal man, we treat everyone like equal. And we should treat it like in equal terms. So that way I was talking with the administration, with the commanders, with the generals. This is so wrong. I'm not going to follow that. So from that point, I was classified as an instigator, and I keep building the cases as I am a commander and so on. In 2015, when I was sitting with my PRP, they said you have to say that you did something wrong. I said yes, I did something in my behavior in the camp. I'm not proud of it, but you put me in that position. So when they cleared me, one of the officers, a colonel, Navy colonel, he said, Mansoor, this is informal, it's not official, but we are sorry for what happened to you. You shouldn't be here. But we cannot say to we detain an innocent man for 15 years and told him this is hurt more than anything, you know.
Mm.
So the Guantanamo story is really a big story. I got to talk a little about how we in the book and so on. So please continue your question.
Yeah, I wanna go to your book. So as I said, it will be released on 17th of August, and I do encourage everyone to buy it and pre-order it for now. The book is titled "Don't Forget Us Here." You have a copy, right? Do you want to show it?
Yes, it is here. and
um,
and I hope guys can read the book. It is, you know, it is the, I think it is important and a unique book, not because I wrote it, no, because it is the only book that covers 15 years of Guantanamo. Most of the book that had been written, it cover only 5 or 6 year maximum. At the same time, this book really take the readers inside the camp to stories about, it's like about the humanity we share there as a humans. And it's stories about the brothers, the guards, the camp staff, the lawyers, the the Guantanamo itself, how started and grows and evolve with the time, about, you know, brotherhood and friendship, about our friends animal there, iguanas, cats, and banana rats. You know, about survival and hope at the same time. So I tried to avoid to talk a lot about either like the dark side of Guantanamo. So I wanted the readers really to know about the life we had there and the beauty of the life itself, that it came to Guantanamo. Imagine there is like 50 nationalities arrive at that place. They have no any kind of shared life before. They don't know each other, different background, different, you know, kind of culture, different languages. It was at the beginning, it was kind of little hard and difficult to communicate, to understand each other. But the difficulty and the hardship of the detention itself, it really forged kind of brotherhood and friendship, that we stood beside each other and supported each other. At the same time, something beautiful really emerged from that, what I call it the Guantanamo culture, or the beautiful Guantanamo, which is, imagine those cultures and languages came, and when the interaction, they melted in one culture. So I remember when we used to have some kind of celebration when one week, you know, in one block, we used to sing, or, you know, dance stories. In one block, you could hear different songs in Arabic, in English, in Pashto, in French, in Russian, or Pashto, in Urdu, in Farsi. You can see the dance from country to country, from Yemen to Saudi Arabia to Afghanistan to Iran to other countries. So this kind of culture really melt together. After years later, the song and the poems that were written at Guantanamo, you can find there is phrases in each poem and each song from different languages. It's so beautiful. So I wrote an independent article recently about called "The Beautiful Guantanamo," which just focused on this side of Guantanamo. And after 10 years, we lived almost like 9 years in solitary confinement. They used to move us around from block to block, from cell to cell, as you know, because distraction, and, you know, if you always you know, unsettled, because they think they're going to break it to some point and to extract the value information about whatever. So after the 10 years, when I met the people who I encountered in the beginning of Guantanamo, we had been through a lot, like resisting, hunger strike, fighting back, beating, torture, interrogation, a lot, a lot. So after when Obama was elected in 2009, in 2010, we were on hunger strike for almost like 2 years in force feeding, like they fed us through our noses. So we negotiated with the camp administration that they should, you know, change the living condition in the camp. So it did happen, alhamdulillah. Then we met again, and we thought, I mean, at that time in 2010, we call in the book, I called it the golden age. I mean, we had access to TV, newspaper, super rich. We live in the communal living. But I found something really was scary, because when we met again, we start talking about early days at Guantanamo. We went deep. We thought things get better. We really just again went deep to in our prison, because with that time we constructed memories with each other about the life, the 9 years at Guantanamo. These memories only about the detention. So that memories, it was the shared life we have with each other. So when after 9 years, we start talking and remembering things, laugh, remembering the things we had been through together, like hunger strike and torture and so on. The brothers who already left, the brothers who died at Guantanamo, and it became even, you know, because we have nothing in common to talk about. We didn't have a life before Guantanamo to talk about. So this is basically how I tried to put everything in the book. But yeah, the book originally was written at Guantanamo. I wrote it in 2011, 12. It was taken from me in 2013, confiscated by the CAM administration. Then I have to write it again in 2015, 16, and send it to my lawyer as a legal. We talk about the book, how I wrote it. And I used to go to the classroom every day, shackled to the ground. I wrote it as my letters to my lawyer. So every week I would send 10 letters, 15 papers, 10 pages. I had really big manuscript, hand writing. So I wrote it almost like in 1 year as a draft and sent it to my lawyer. She got it to the secure facility in Washington, D.C. Then she had to send it back to Guantanamo. Alhamdulillah, it was approved. Then for the last 2 years, I have been working with my friend Antonia Ailo to be it as it is. And really, the first draft was 500,000 words. We had to cut it down. Yeah, it's really big because it's 15 years and it should be 2 books, not 1 book. But again, the contract with Hachette, they wanted only 80,000 words because for many reasons. So we submitted the draft in 150,000 words. They were upset about it. So we had to cut it again to like 120,000 words. And like, because guys, we didn't want to mess with the story. So there's a lot of stories we couldn't include, as I told you, because anyone who read the original manuscript, they said this should be 2 books. And what's unique about it, it takes people really to the life within the detention itself and within Guantanamo itself. So this is the
Yeah.
story of the book.
I mean, it's really a book that makes you both laugh and cry, and then often you find yourself completely breathless because you really slap the reader in the face with very hard truths. So I mean, I really think it's a book that should be read in every school. One thing that is quite central to the book is the fact that in Guantanamo you were prisoner 441, and most of the book focuses on how the system was built for you to be seen as exclusively as prisoner 441 and not as Mansur. So much of the struggles in Guantanamo were about reclaiming your humanity and the right to be seen and recognized as a human being. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, like as I told you, what make you as a human being, those things that what you believe, what you think of, memories, humanity, even your language, talking, wearing, whatever. So when someone tries to take something from you or to change you, it just like it's condemn you to death. It's kind of a way of condemn you to be another person or another human. So at the beginning, we had no idea what to expect, and we had no experience. Everything was new, everything was scary. The place, the cages, the fence, the shouting, that we cannot talk, we cannot stand, we cannot do anything. If we couldn't even look at the guards, we were punished if we look at the guards. So, and we were asked to repeat over and over again our numbers, keep just repeating 441, 441. So at the beginning, we thought, we paused for a little, as a shock. We didn't know what to expect, what to do, but we started fighting back, try to survive, try to, to preserve as a who, like for me and other and some brothers, we try to preserve who we are. I mean, that's something we cannot expect. But when it comes to touch our religion or our tradition, or think doesn't make any sense. So even my brother, they used to tell me, don't do that. They will beat you. I said, it doesn't matter. I guess I cannot take it. Maybe the physical pain it is less than the pain, the humiliation and the thing I see every day. So at the beginning, we just reacting to whatever they throw at us, because you are dealing with the machinery, with the kind of a system. Experienced people who know what to do. They have planned. But as individuals, we're reacting to preserve our humanity, and it became like when someone call you by your name, by the guards, or sometime when the lawyers came, they start talking to us by our name. It was like, wow. I mean, so one of the hard things that you, as a detainee, you try to prove to everyone that you are not the person who they think you are. But after years, I said, I don't care. I'm not here to convince anyone. I am who I am. So they judge us by our behavior. I mean, or our behavior and our reaction at the detention there, and we just human being. I mean, if you treat me good, of course I will treat you good. But when you came through rocks at me all the time, I will take it 1, 2, 3 times. But every day for years and years, we went through stages, like try to support each other, to survive, to preserve our humanity. But the system itself recognizes you only as a number, not even as a living things. No matter what you did, no matter what you try to do, no, it just, they have specific rules. Even the guards, they were instructed to talk to you and to deal with us in a certain way. Every day they have a sheet. Okay, this is how those blocks should be treated, how this block should be treated. There was in Guantanamo, there was almost like 12 camps. Each camp, they have their own rules and a way of treatment. And not only the detainees who are victims at the Guantanamo machinery, even the guards and some camp staff and the people at Guantanamo who tried to help, because there are some of the guards and some camp staff, honestly, who refused to follow the SOPs and rules. And there is some guards who refused to torture the detainees, and they paid. They get punished, or they were relieved, or they sent back to the state. Because when you force someone to torture someone, is a torture for the guards themselves. I'm not trying to defend anyone here, but this is the fact of Guantanamo. Even guards, when they at Guantanamo, they were told us time, sorry guys, we had no choice, and we understand this. So after years, we come to mutual understanding with the guards. We understand you have to do what you have to do, but also at the same time, as detainees, we have to do what we have to do. I mean, so there's many occasions we fought with the guards just to send a message to the administration that there's something here, because sometimes we need just to send a message as protest or fighting back. We didn't want to get hurt in the process. So we explained to the guards, we will do that, just stay away. And they came to us, they have to spray us. They have to bring the FCE team. They have to do some stuff. Then by the end of the day, sorry, just, we end up just, I look at it, both sides. I'm talking about the level of the guards where, they have to follow those orders, especially the young guards. And in the process, some of them, when they come back after years and years, they feel so bad about how they were treated us at the beginning, and they apologizing and so on. But still, even when I talk to some of the guards after Guantanamo, I am communicating with some of the guards, they keep apologizing and, saying sorry. I said, yes, forget it, it happened. And, so to some extent, we developed a way of kind of like to survive at Guantanamo, sense of humanity, a sense of humor, supporting each other, and not to take it seriously at Guantanamo. And after all, it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can say, it is without his help, we couldn't even make it. So
We'll
second
get
question.
back to the idea of humor in a little bit, but there is something you just mentioned that is another really fundamental point that you make in the book, and that's what you call. You said that the body was your battleground. So, in a situation when you had nothing and you had nothing to lose, then all you had was your body. And I mean, obviously, the contexts are very different, but this seems really to resonate with many struggles for self-determination, be it Palestine or Kashmir. So there is when there is nothing, the body becomes the battleground. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
I mean, when someone, like, as I told you, when they threw us everything, you know, they took, they tried, they took every mean for us try to resist or try to protest or try to even to to do anything. So to the extent we were stripped naked, no clothes. We some of I was also, including others, we were stripped naked. We were taken to call mental facility. Like we were tied up, we were given shot. So just they try to break you. So as I told, when the body is the background, because now they turn on your own body, beating, shots, tiding, stripping naked, cold, heat. So also we used our body to fight back, which hunger strike. It was really the slow way of death. I spent 57 days on once only on water. Some of us was spent multiple times, 30 days, 35, 20 days, 40 days, but the length I spent 50 days, almost died. They brought me from dead. I was taken to the intensive care unit, and I spent 3 years on force feeding. Some of the brothers spent 10, 15 years, 15 years on force feeding. So, and also at the same time, when they came to punish us on our bodies, whether like the beating, even the for the punishment. So our bodies is what the battleground. So because what else they can do to you, you know, it is just everything. It inflict mental pain, psychological and physical pain in our bodies. So also we use our bodies to fight back, to resist. So actually the body was our bodies was the battleground and was the thing we had to use to resist and to fight back and to protest. We had nothing else. I mean, you cannot talk because there was really loud fans in front of each door, behind the wall of the in the on the wall, small fan, 24 hours. We The smell, they used to put some kind when we were in solitary confinement, they would put some pepper spray in the AC, sometimes turn off the AC. It, you know, and that continued 24 hours for years and years and years. So if you become try to violent to fight the guard physically, they now take it one step. They will strip us naked, leave us like for weeks. If you fight even naked more, they, as I told you, that we were taken to a mental facility and will give a shot, put in really cold cell. Sometimes they will push water so we have nothing. So you cannot sit down, and it was a nightmare to go through it. And you know, some of the brothers lost their minds. Honestly, some of the brothers tried to take their lives. But alhamdulillah, we tried to resist. When I was fighting for myself. Most of us, the one who fight, we used to fight for our brothers, for to defend those kids, the elderly, the one who mistreated. We were taught about their interrogation. Some of us, they will take what they call them the worst at Guantanamo. They will take us in one black. And they call us the devils, the guard, the devil black. So from there, we also tried to organize, but it was really hard to do any kind of organizer work. Some of us was really around 30 or 40 detainees was really fighting back and keep the fighting up, because no one can keep fighting, and different people, different mentality. And also people were afraid, you know, because if someone shows as a leader, or people listen to him, or he is talking too much, he will design as a leader and will go through intensive interrogation. Even the one who like led the prayers and pray, He will go. He's a leader. Why they follow him? That mentality they have. If you listen to the chaplain who this is one of the most ridiculous and funny stories at Guantanamo. In 2003, we had a chaplain when General Miller arrived at that time, and he started the torture program. The chaplain Yusuf James Yee or Yusuf, we used to talk to him as a Muslim chaplain, and he tried to protest and to try to explain about the naked, about the desecration of the Holy Quran, or tried to people when we prayed, the guards shouting, yelling, and mocking us. So he tried to explain to the administration, that should be stopped. And actually, that was even in the interrogation room. That it was one of the technique to use the religion so against the detainee to break the detainees. So James he ended up accused of espionage, and he was detained for 2 years and interrogated. Simply as American officer came to serve his own country just because he was protesting the torture and abusement in the camp, because it was against he stood against the torture program, and they viewed him as a obstacle. So simply, as I told you, war and terror, he's a spy, or he is aiding our enemy espionage. He was taken, he was detained for 2 years, and was relieved from duty. It's just like simple as that. No one is safe.
Um, and you can still laugh at all this. How do you manage?
Oh, at the beginning, oh, it was a sense of humor. That what we developed at Guantanamo. We spent years just, it was hard, but then we developed some kind of sense not to take it seriously at all. Make fun of the guards, of ourselves, each other. There was pain, but we tried not to show it anymore, because when you show your pain, it just hurts others. But take it and make fun of it and make love it and make that day and second day, because it happened over and over again. So at the same time, we reached the point that it was very effective, even against the guard that came the administration, not to take them seriously, not to follow the rules, just to break every rules, to go to the interrogation, to mock them. And it works for us. It just, because not to take it seriously, it helps us mentally not to react to it. Or so by the time when the C team came, or someone got beating or swelling faces, and we would tell someone like, who kissed you today? It just make the joke and so on. There is a lot of stories there. So I told you, like, sense of humor, and not to take the situation serious, because if we took it serious, it's going to damage us. So just laugh at it and try to make it look less miserable, and supporting each other in that way. Alhamdulillah, it worked, and we still have even like after Guantanamo, we had we have 3 group on WhatsApp. Sometimes we share some memories, some photos from the food at Guantanamo, the hunger strike, some jokes, sometimes singing. Sometimes we try to try to remember things in a funny way. Well, Alhamdulillah, I'm I'm gonna say I'm not saying here we survive. It's really you know we have scar in our souls. Scars that only we can see. At the same time, there's some kind of symptoms we suffer from, mental, psychological, and physical symptoms still there. But we try to live our life, and we don't want to leave Guantanamo twice.
If you don't mind me asking, you've come of age in Guantanamo. How did it make you the man you are now?
You know, there is many factors contribute to the man character, education, and intellectual and behavior. Where it is one of it, like the environment, the company, the level of education, all these things. I spent almost half my age at Guantanamo. It's a huge gap I feel in my life, because I arrived at Guantanamo when I was like 18 years old. I was released when I was almost like in 33 years old. Just almost like 15 years gap there. And physically, I feel that, yeah, physically, I can see I have gray hair, but mentally and psychologically, I feel I'm in my 20s because this gap at Guantanamo, when we're in the camp, everything stopped around us. Life, relationship, you see the same routine every day, the same faces, the same problems, the same concerns, and even with the time, it gets only worse and worse because the more you stay, the more you get weaker, the more your body, even your everything is get worse. You never get better. So from 2002 until 2010, I was really, I didn't have much because I had only finished my high school. I didn't have much knowledge of myself, of the world, of the life. So when I moved to the communal living camp, I had a chance. There was a library, there was a TV, there was a newspaper, and I always tell myself the only way to. I wasn't, you know, satisfied with the person I was because ignorant. You know, it's not the person I want to be because I have dreams. Education and to be someone. My father is a tribal elder, so you can be very high in the families and so on. So I wanted to also play a role in helping my family, my people, my country, and so on. So when I started in the communal living, I get chance. I started learning English. I started, reading a lot and start communicating with the common administration and so on. Alhamdulillah, the knowledge in English helped me a lot. It opened a new door for me to the world, and it really helped me to develop my character, my knowledge, and so on. So the key is education. It's not just education, the environment you live on, the people you interact with, the views, the healthy knowledge and healthy environment, and it helped construct or develop the character of the person. That way I tried at Guantanamo to you know to open my mind and to learn and pursue the learning. Alhamdulillah, I managed to learn as much as I could. I taught there too. So when I got out of Guantanamo, the first thing, it was my condition to go to college. It was also, we'll talk about it later. It was also challenging, but I hope at least I did something. I had to prepare myself for the life after Guantanamo, and the preparation started at Guantanamo as like just to prepare myself to, so I can fit in that society and so on.
We're Time is running very, very fast. So if there are questions from the audience, please do share it with us on our social media platforms. I have tons of more questions, so I'll go ahead and try not to go too far past the 1 hour mark. Let's talk about these exactly. You were finally released. You were finally found innocent. But then what happened?
Oh, I was released in 2016. I wasn't released. I was forced to leave Guantanamo. I had no choice. It's one of the things we laughed about it because they brought us there within when they come to leave. I refused to leave because I wanted to leave to an Arabic country where there is the language, the tradition, and other factors too. But I had no choice. I was forced to leave to Serbia against my will, and here where I am. And I found myself in Guantanamo 2.0. You know, it has been really tough and difficult. And when I arrived here, there was some. We were told at Guantanamo there will be some kind of agreement between the U.S. It resettlement. It was rehabilitation, reintegration, but none of that. It was just a lie. When I arrived here, I was told we have nothing for you. We are going to keep you for 2 years and deport you. I had no legal status. I had no education, no nothing basically. So it was a matter. You live. They told me you will live here under restrictions. You are not free. So I lived for 2 years for uncertainty, or 3 years uncertainty. I didn't know what to expect. Live in fear to be deported, to end up after 2 years and a half. They told me you have now to leave to the refugee camp or be deported to jail in Saudi Arabia. It was so we had to go to the media again. I was denied education. This is one of the things that hurt me most when I get here. I wasn't allowed to continue my college education. So after fighting and I was I enrolled one of the faculty colleges here. Then when they found out, they accepted me. When they found I came from Guantanamo, I was expelled, and I just cried. I cried a lot because it's my dream to finish my college education. I went on hunger strike the first time for 48 days. It is Guantanamo mentality came out with it because normal. The only thing you know at Guantanamo is protesting, trying. So the first time I went on hunger strike for 48 days. The second time, 25 days, protest my situation, the treatment, the many things. So alhamdulillah, with my lawyer, she came here 5 times, tried to help. We managed to find a college, private college. And alhamdulillah, I finished my college 2 weeks ago. And I am working my final paper, which is about rehabilitation of former Guantanamo detainees into social life and the labor market, and one of the real challenging and difficult topics because, again, it's one of the biggest problems we face after Guantanamo. But I hope I will be able to graduate because I haven't paid my fee tuition, and the faculty told me if you're not going to pay, it will be hard to graduate. Uh, I haven't met my family. And like the life after Guantanamo, even from some of the brothers who were released, like the brothers who were released to sent to United Arab Emirates for resettlement, they were spent almost like 6 years in jail now, tortured and abused, and we have been for the last 4 years campaigning, tried to get him out from there. Alhamdulillah, the first group was released yesterday to Yemen, and again, I don't know what to expect in Yemen. I don't know. There is no kind of. It's just release them to Yemen, civil war, and so far they have been kept there in jail. Other brothers in other countries, we still live in the stigma of Guantanamo, especially when Trump came to an office in 2016. He closed the office in the State Department that was responsible for the released detainees. So the situation has gone even worse. I was told here by Serbian government, we have nothing. No, Trump now is in charge. Think will change. Of course, it's gone worse. Last year, I was evicted from a place where I live in the apartment in the city. I was evicted. Other in Kazakhstan, people there, they have for the last 6 years, they have no legal status, and they were asked by the government to leave. Harassing and beating, arresting all the time. Some released brothers still homeless. Some of them we couldn't obtain a travel document. I wanted to get married 2 years ago. I know a woman through online. I really wanted to marry her. I can't sign can really obsessed with her. She waited me for 1 year, but I asked for travel document for passport or can get married, and I wasn't allowed to have travel document, not able to travel. There's a lot of another, still Guantanamo hasn't finished with us. And, I was told over and over again, you are a threat to our country. I'm not allowed to drive. I'm not allowed to leave the city. Based on what? Simply because he was in Guantanamo. So it's just like little, and there it is. I am writing a book which is called Life After Guantanamo. I will show you guys. Sorry, I live only one small room, but I will show you the book. It's there. Can you see it? So, also I'm doing some kind of advocacy for my brother at Guantanamo. Try to get the detention closed, and fighting also for the brothers who have problem after Guantanamo, like brothers in UAE, in Kazakhstan, in Slovakia, in Albania, in other countries. And, because I wear this like symbol of, solidarity with my brothers at Guantanamo, and to send a message to the people about what Guantanamo is about, because Guantanamo now stands for torture, injustice, lawlessness, abuse of power, and even a death sentence for those who are still there for 20 years indefinite detention. 9 people lost their life there. So, which is also Guantanamo now everywhere. You can see it everywhere. So for me, I feel part of me still there, and I try to at least to help the brothers there. and the brothers who left. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm not focusing on my situation. I'm focusing on others. By helping others, I'm helping myself, literally.
Yeah, and I think, having read your book and having followed your story, that seems, another little bit of Guantanamo staying with you. That sort of solidarity and brotherhood has remained as a positive inheritance of that experience. One quick thing that I think is important for our audience to remember is that there are still 39 forever prisoners in Guantanamo.
Some of them were cleared in 2009. They were cleared for release in 2009 and still there for almost like 11 years, still there. It just, Guantanamo is a really big mess. And I hope Biden can do something about it and get it closed. And we just pray and hope things will happen.
We've reached our 1 hour mark. Is there anything that we have forgotten? Any final remark that you want to close our conversation with?
I would like to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me. And I hope you can also join the fight against injustice, against this cruelty of some people. And Guantanamo or place like Guantanamo, speak out matters. Talking, raise your voice, show solidarity. It matters a lot. I remember when I was at Guantanamo, when we hear there are some people who protest or the media bring our attention to our case. It meant a lot to us. It gives us some hope that we are not forgotten, and there is people, when you at the place when you lost, when someone tried to take your humanity, or someone like try to show it to the world that you are not human, that you are the worst of the worst. When someone outside there tried to protest and consider as a human, it meant a lot to us. And I really thank and appreciate all those who support us and fought for us and do some protests. And thank you all for attending this event today.
Mansur, thank you very much. I just want to repeat once again to please get his book and make sure that your children read it and that the book is read in school, because I think it's an incredible lesson in humanity, in both the horrible things we are capable of, but also the amazing spirit of resistance that humans are able and capable of. Mansur, thank you very much for being with us and sharing your story.